If you are a real estate investor, what is the number one thing that you need to remember and keep it in your back pocket? And it also happens to be the thing that a lot of people forget to utilize. The answer to that is strategy. There are so many ways to maximize returns, to maximize your profits, to do things more efficiently, whatever it may be. Strategy is key. If you just kind of, shoot off as an investor and go all willy-nilly about it and you do whatever you can and as things come up, cool. May not be anything wrong with that. You may still get great returns. But if you are willing to implement strategy into your investing, everything can change. So I'm going to give you some information related to strategy. Number one, the criticality of it. Number two, I'm going to give you some examples of resources and things that you have at your disposal that you may or may not know about to think about in creating your strategy, different things you can incorporate to help maximize what it is you're trying to achieve. And then I'm going to finish off with one little helpful hint when it comes to strategies as an investor. So if you're stoked about all of those things and learning a little bit more about strategy and how important it is, hit the like button. Who doesn't like strategy? So like a video about strategy. Okay, I've kind of already hit on this, the importance of strategy. The reason strategy is so important, it's like creating a business plan for a business. It's not that you can't create a business without a business plan, but if you create a business plan, you're going to tighten it up, you're going to make it more efficient, and you're hopefully going to increase your ways of maximizing profit. It's really no different as an investor, but with it as from an investing perspective, especially, like I said, there are so many resources available, many of which are coming from the government. This is absolutely not a political claim one way or the other. This is since the beginning of time. Real estate investors in the 80s, the 90s, before that, there are rules and laws in the, what do you call it, government, whatever, that are in place that will help you maximize things. We're going to dive into that a little bit. But think of the tax code. There are so many ways to help maximize your returns through tax law. If you know the tax laws and you do it accordingly, you can see a lot more profit. Okay, lots to talk about on that one, but we're going to digress a little bit. Let's go back a little bit bigger picture here. So that is why strategy is critical, is if you're already doing the investing, you might as well set yourself up to maximize the profits or the returns, which I'm assuming is why you're investing anyways. So that's why investing is important too, but that's why strategy is so critical and will absolutely change the game of your investing if you remember to consider it. Like I said, it's also the number one thing that people forget to consider. So what are some examples of strategies that might make you and your investing more profitable? If you've seen any of my videos, you know that I love the use of a good little whiteboard. If you've seen my whiteboards in previous videos, hit the like button. I don't know, it's just an excuse to ask for a like. Okay, so this is not an all-inclusive list by any means, but it's just to get your juices flowing. And the other cool thing about this list I'm going to give you, it's a shorter one, but just again, to get those juices flowing, for every example of a tool or a resource that you can use to help with your strategy, I have an additional video about it. So all of these videos on each of these topics are going to be linked below. So if any one of these jump out at you and it's something you want to learn more about, go down below. There's a video for it. I am purposely not even telling you ideas that I don't have a video for, because I don't want to just throw an idea out and you not be able to get more information on it. So here's the things to get you started. What are we looking at here? Where do I put this? Okay. 1031 exchanges. When you sell a property, you will be taxed on the capital gains unless you do a 1031 exchange. If you don't realize the potent power of that tax savings, I mean, we're talking anywhere from like a few thousand to tens of thousands of dollars that do not have to come out of your pocket and go into the tax bank. This is money that can stay in your pocket. Huge strategy. So the video that I have on 1031s actually talks about using 1031s as a wealth building strategy. It talks about the logistics of 1031s, but we do dive into the actual strategy use of it. All right, what's next? Multiple properties. Let's say you have multiple properties, or you're trying to buy multiple properties, or whatever. You have a multiple property portfolio. Do you keep some of them? Do you sell some of them? When do you sell some of them? What do you do with some of them? What do you do? Do you buy, sell them? I have a video on that. Just check that one out below, because what you're looking at there is maximizing strategy. Let's say that you have 10 rental properties and maybe they're not the most profitable. Maybe you should swap a couple out for something else, or what do you do? That's what I answer in that video. Then creative financing. So one example of creative financing related to what we just talked about is, what if you build up a lot of equity in one of those properties that you own? You own those 10 rental properties and one or more of them has gained a lot of equity. How can you access that equity in order to continue being as profitable as possible? So for that creative financing strategy, I have a video, what to do with the equity of those houses or of that house, because again, this is snowballing returns here. That's what we're talking about. There are other creative financing options, like, it's called OPM, other people's money. Using OPM and creative financing, again, to maximize your returns. If leverage makes you hesitant and you aren't sure if leveraging makes things more profitable, trust me, it usually does. And I may have a video on that too. Check that one out below. Can you tell this is just like an inventory of helpful resources to other videos? Perfect. Active to passive. What does that even mean? Well, one strategy, I talk to a lot of coaching clients who want to build a certain number of dollars per month as passive income in order to become financially free. There is a strategy. If you don't have the capital, enough capital now to build that number, how can you use active income, meaning money you're working for, in order to build passive income? What? Like, does this even make sense? Trust me, it does. Check out the video. But it's a huge tool in order to strategize and to figure out how you want to get to your goals later on. Okay, where are we at? Running numbers. This is barely even strategy, if that. This is just basic numbers. You've got to know how to run the numbers and calculate returns on any property that you're working with, whether it's rental properties, flipping, whatever you're doing. You want to make sure you know how to run the numbers properly, because if you don't, it's almost going to be impossible to maximize your strategy. You need to know the basics of what goes into a strategy in order to make a proper strategy. Ergo, you need to know how to run the numbers. I have a video on that. All right, last one. Not the most exciting, but tax strategy. I realize that taxes don't sound all that exciting at all. They sound quite boring. But when you actually do the math on how much, I kind of alluded to this with the 1031s, if you do the math on how much extra cash flow you can put in your pocket when you maximize your tax strategy, like I said, it can be tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket that you wouldn't have otherwise had. Now, when you're considering tax strategies, I have a number one critical tip for you, and that is in the video linked below about the tax strategy. So that is just a non-inclusive list of some of the ways that you can, some of the things that you can incorporate into your real estate strategy. It's all puzzle pieces, man. I used to be an engineer. I freaking love puzzle pieces. If you learn what all the puzzle pieces are and you can see all the puzzle pieces, you can rearrange them, max everything out. Get it, like, why do this if it's going to be half-assed? Do it. So I already told you the criticality of strategy. I gave you some examples of strategy and an inventory of videos to learn more about each one. What's the one thing I said I would also give you? A helpful hint. Before I give you this helpful hint, if this video has been helpful so far, hit that like button. And if you've utilized any of the strategy options I gave you, or any options or strategies that I did not mention, please leave those in the comments, because the more we all know, and let's celebrate the wins. Hello, let's learn all the ways to maximize strategy. Now, the last little helpful hint that I promised to give you, in my opinion, don't try to maximize your strategy before you've bought your first property. I hesitate to say this because on one hand, you don't want to just like, fire off with a blindfold on and buy whatever property comes around, because you probably have bigger goals you're trying to accomplish. So to some degree, you want to have a little bit of a strategy going of like, okay, well, I want X number of dollars of passive income per month. That's going to require me to buy Y number of properties. Have a plan. How are you going to fund that? Whatever. In terms of maximizing your strategy options, this is kind of my helpful hint and recommendation, is don't stress too much about maximizing all of that before you've even gotten started, because trust me, you have enough to learn to get started. Don't overwhelm yourself. Plus, you don't know exactly what strategies are going to end up being applicable to your situation before you even have a situation. So that's my helpful hint. If any of this was helpful, please let me know, hit that like button, and check out all those videos below for any of the resources that you think might help you with your strategy.